It's all over for Naiise, with the retailer going into liquidation and its founder filing for personal bankruptcy.
Fully vaccinated Singapore residents travelling to Hong Kong can soon look forward to spending a shorter time in quarantine.
And with Russia's flag banned from the Olympics, here's what the athletes will be wearing in Tokyo. Welcome to The Big Story, coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. I'm Olivia Quay.
I'm Hairian. To demand you can subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode.
Correction directions under POFMA have been issued to opposition politician MENG, as well as the Singapore Uncensored website over unsubstantiated claims about adverse reactions to COVID-19 vaccines.
Posts published on April 2nd on two Facebook pages of MENG People's Power Party and MENG Satu Singapura implied that the vaccination had caused or substantially contributed to a doctor in Singapore suffering a stroke.
The same accounts also published posts on April the 7th with similar unsupported claims linking to the death of an 81-year-old man here. On the same day, the Singapore Uncensored website published an article stating that an 81-year-old man had died from alleged vaccination complications.
Parties who've received correction directions must carry a correction notice alongside their posts, and both Mr. Goh and Singapore Uncensored have complied.
In other news, once the biggest platform for local designers, multi-label retailer Naiise stopped operations late last night after years of payment delays to its vendors.
In a Facebook post this morning, its founder Dennis Tay announced the decision to liquidate the firm. He'll also be filing for personal bankruptcy.
Well, and last Sunday, Naiise closed its Jewel Changi Airport store, its last and largest in Singapore. And this closure was the latest in a series of cost-cutting measures to weather the pandemic and weak sales.
Last July, it had already pulled out of an agreement to manage the retail floor at Design Orchard, as well as shuttered its outlet at Paya Lebar Quarter. Its financial difficulties existed before COVID-19. Now it owes vendors sums ranging from hundreds of dollars to five-digit figures for selling their stocks on a consignment basis and has reportedly defaulted on payments since as early as 2016.
Naiise was actually expanding during this period, having ventured into bricks and mortar stores in 2015. The peak of its expansion was in 2017, when it employed about 100 employees. 16
new COVID-19 cases were confirmed today, all imported. They have been placed on stay-home notice upon arrival in Singapore. More details will be shared tonight.
In the global headlines, from as early as the end of this month, fully vaccinated visitors to Hong Kong from low-risk areas like Singapore will have a 7-day mandatory quarantine period instead of 14 days.
For those from high and medium-risk areas, they will serve a 14-day quarantine, down from 21. All inoculated visitors will have to self-monitor for another 7 days post-quarantine.
Elsewhere, U.S. President Joe Biden will begin withdrawing all 2,500 troops from Afghanistan on May the 1st to end America's longest war.
He aims to do this by September 11th, 20 years to the day of Al-Qaeda's attacks on the U.S., which prompted then-President George W. Bush to launch the conflict.
Afghan President Ashraf Ghani tweeted that he had spoken with Mr. Biden and he respected the decision.
I believed that our presence in Afghanistan should be focused on the reason we went in the first place, to ensure Afghanistan would not be used as a base from which to attack our homeland again. We did that. We accomplished that objective. I said, among with others, we'd follow Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell if need be. That's exactly what we did, and we got him. That was 10 years ago. Think about that. We delivered justice to bin Laden a decade ago, and we've stayed in Afghanistan for a decade since. Since then, our reasons for remaining in Afghanistan have become increasingly unclear, even as the terrorist threat that we went to fight evolved. War in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking. We were attacked. We went to war with clear goals. we achieved those objectives. Bin Laden is dead, and Al-Qaeda is degraded in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's time to end the forever war.
In sports, Russia's flag will not appear on its athlete uniforms for the Tokyo Olympics because of doping sanctions. Instead, competitors will wear blue, red and white uniforms that bear the logo of the Russian Olympic Committee. Russian athletes can compete at major international events under their flag and with their anthem. This ban lasts until 2022.
Meanwhile, the world-famous Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio was lit up yesterday. The 2016 host city marked 100 days to the Tokyo Games with hundreds of LED projectors beaming images of the Olympic logo and sporting arenas onto the 30-meter landmark.
It's Thursday, which means checking in with our live colleagues for some weekend ideas.
South Korean superstar Gong Yoo is back on the big screen after 2 years with sci-fi action film Seo Bok. Now you can catch it in local cinemas from today.
Now, Gong Yoo is reason enough for me to see this one, but journalist Jan Lee is here with a quick review. So Jan, South Korea has produced critically acclaimed films in the sci-fi thriller genre. A big budget, of course, helps as well. What else can you tell us about Seo Bok and how it stands out from the rest in this particular genre?
From what I know, this is pretty big budget by South Korean standards. So, we can always look forward to a little bit more action scenes. It looks like, they trained for it. If you see the trailer, Park Bo-gum and Gong Yoo both look like they are involved in some car chases and maybe some fight scenes. So that's good. South Korea is also really good, like you said, at specific genre films like Train to Busan, which Gong Yoo was also the star of, was a big hit. But I think hard sci-fi, like human clones, which this story is about, is not something that they've really explored thoroughly yet. So I'm quite excited to see what happens.
Right. Let's talk about the cast, Jen. Gong Yoo is paired with another respected actor in his own right, Park Bo-gum. What can we expect from this duo?
So in this movie, Gong Yoo plays like a retired intelligence officer, and then he is tasked to protect the first human clone in history, which is played by Park Bo-gum. And the human clone apparently holds the secret to eternal life, which is why he is hunted. So, there's definitely some chemistry there because Gong Yoo's character is mortal, whereas Park Bo-gum's character is not. So there's some philosophical discussions of the questions of life and death and what does it mean to be alive and what does it mean to live. And, I think Gong Yoo, we know of him more as a versatile actor because he has had a longer experience in the industry. He has a larger filmography. But Park Bo-gum, I think people tend to remember him from really slice of life / romantic dramas like The Recent Record of Youth, or Encounter, or Reply in 1988, Love in the Moonlight. So it's quite interesting to see him challenge something that is hard sci-fi, that doesn't seem to have a lot of romantic elements in it. There's a little bit more, I would say, serious and action-based.
Well, thanks very much, Jan. That was journalist Jan Lee on the new South Korean sci-fi action movie Seo Bok. It stars Gong Yoo and Park Bo-gum, and it's out in cinemas today.
Food editor Tan Hsueh Yun has a perfectly Instagrammable cafe to recommend next. It's Cafe de Nicole's Flower. Now, in an article already out, Hsueh describes it as the lair of a hoarder with flair.
Well, that sounds a bit too much for me, but let's have Hsueh tell us more. So Hsueh, what should patrons, prepare themselves when they first step into this cafe?
Okay. First, it's really popular, so book before going. Otherwise, you might not get a table. Okay. And then the other thing is when you walk in, have your phone on video mode because you're going to want to take footage of everything. This cafe is delightfully over the top. And if you need escape from your home office or you need escape from anything, or not being able to travel, go to Cafe de Nicole's Flower. It's in Telok Kurau. And just go spend an afternoon there, listening to music, looking at the amazing decor, and have some really good souffle pancakes.
Right, but it's not just about the atmosphere, right, Hsueh? What about the food? What can you say about the menu?
Okay, so with a place like that, usually when you go into some place that looks like, it belongs on an Instagram post, right? You're not going to be very confident about the food. You're going to say, yeah, maybe it'll be nice, whatever. You're just there to take pictures of decor. But I had two things. One is Romeo and Juliet. It's really a matcha latte with strawberry ice cream and Pocky. Anyone who has read anything I've written in the last 20 years will know that I'm obsessed with Pocky. And it's so good because the matcha is really nice and bitter. And then there's, and it's not sweet. And the strawberry ice cream is a good, strawberry ice cream. I'm not sure if it's house made, but it was really good. And on a hot day, it was fantastic. It was just instant cooling down. And then a friend of mine had told me that the souffle pancakes were really good. And I was really surprised. So like angel wings, and then they wobble and, they jiggle and it's not too sweet, and I just love everything about those pancakes. I had the strawberry version. So there you have 3 thick pancakes, and then that's crowned with whipped cream, not sweet at all. And then there's like rivers of strawberry sauce running down, the top, down the stack of pancakes. And then there's sliced strawberries everywhere, scoop of strawberry ice cream. Oh, it was so good. I just wanted to finish the whole thing. I almost did.
Well, thank you very much, Hsueh. As she said, if you're looking for an escape from the humdrum, check out Cafe de Nicole's Flower at 224 Telok Kurau Road.
Still on food, if you're craving kimchi fried rice or products and produce from Japan, several e-commerce platforms here are allowing customers to buy food from all over the world.
And here to share more is travel correspondent Clara Lock. So Clara, could you give us some examples of such platforms and what they sell?
Sure. So one of the platforms that have come up as a result of the pandemic is Blue Basket, and they bring in Korean products. So they've got things like Korean fruits, homeware, as well as ready-to-eat meals. Now, the founder says that people in Singapore do like Korean food, but they just might not have the ingredients or the know-how to cook it at home. So that's why she brings in ready-to-eat frozen meals, which have become really popular in South Korea, also as a result of the pandemic, when popular restaurants and brands send this out to people who were at home because of the lockdown. So some items that have done really well on the website are things like tteokbokki soup. So tteokbokki is like this street food. It's chewy rice cakes. And it comes in a packet where it's got like the rice cakes and then different soup sachets and a little bit of ingredients. And then you can throw in your own vegetables, maybe cook an egg, and then it becomes a full meal. So it's really good for busy people in Singapore, along with, other things like fried rice of various flavors, fruits like tangerines from Jeju Island, which are larger than, the regular oranges that we get here. And they're more fragrant and they're also seedless. So it's like super fun and convenient to eat. Another website that has also done really well because of the pandemic is the French Grocer. Now, this has been around for some time, but it saw orders quadruple the day Singapore's circuit breaker was announced last year. And so a lot of people were ordering things like baking products, meat and seafood. And the founder says that now, even though we've gone back to shopping at grocery stores, the overall volume of orders has still increased because people are kind of more used to ordering things online now, and they're open to having things sent to their doorstep.
Right. And do their products differ from what's sold in our supermarket chains? Or, are they more expensive or fresher?
So I think with these platforms, they try really hard to differentiate themselves by selling stuff that people can't get off a supermarket shelf. So one way they do that is by making their own items, and that's what Shinsen Fresh Online Grocer does. They work with a local Japanese restaurant to make their own Japanese butter. So they infuse the butter with things like truffle and mentaiko and tomatoes. And if you've ever had Japanese milk, it's super rich and creamy, and the butter has a similar mouthfeel and taste. So it's very convenient to have a jar of that in your fridge, and you can just like slather it on toast for breakfast or have it on crackers for a midday snack while we work from home. Also, because they import Japanese products, and Japanese fruits, some of the fruits inevitably can't get sold because they come and they're a bit bruised or they're imperfect, or sometimes there's just excess stock. So what the platform does is convert these fruits into jam and preserves. So you get all kinds of Japanese fruit jam like Kyoho grapes, Japanese strawberries, yuzu marmalade. And again, a very convenient thing to have in your fridge and also very unique.
Well, thank you so much, Clara. I think I'm going to check that out.
I want to check the Korean one out, the Korean e-platform,
Yeah, well, we've been speaking with travel correspondent Clara Lock.
Now, tomorrow's live section has more ideas on what you can do over your weekends. For more news and videos, visit straitstimes.com.
And also subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. Once again, I'm Haryanto Diman with Olivia Quay. Join us tomorrow for more stories on A Big Story.